Cristiano Ronaldo is out. Stellar tears. Defeated without the crowning glory he craved for his sparkling career.
But World Cup, it's a dream. It's a dream.
I've been waiting all night for this moment. I've been waiting all year for this moment. I've been picturing you breaking out the club.
Eliminated by France 1-0 in the 2006 World Cup semi-finals, placing 4th. Kicked out in the 2010 World Cup by eventual winners Spain 1-0 in the round of 16. Somehow getting grouped in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, not even making it to the knockout stage. Taken down by Uruguay 2-1 in the 2018 World Cup in the round of 16. And finally in Qatar at the last World Cup, knocked out by Morocco 1-0 in the quarterfinals. Many people have wondered at America in the 2026 World Cup where Portugal will place. But as of today, they've played one match on the 17th of June and they were drawn to the DR Congo 1-1. But what's arguably worse than the bad start to the group is the amount of slander Cristiano Ronaldo has faced in the last few days. Yes, he did have a bad game, we are not denying that. However, even if it's CR7, a 41-year-old man receiving the brunt of the criticism of the Portuguese squad is not fair. Especially when you consider the tactics DR Congo was playing, with 5 players at the back in defence and at least 2 or 3 players constantly marking and watching Cristiano Ronaldo. But worse than the Ronaldo criticism has been his fans attacking the other players, especially the midfield. Bruno Fernandes, Man United's best player in the last season, who even went as far as to break Thierry Henry's Premier League assist record. He did have a bad game by his exquisite standards, yes, but he's received more hate somehow than Vitinha. The PSG midfielder who won the Champions League and came 3rd in the Ballon d'Or race last year had the worst game out of the entire midfield, with 130 touches, 0 key passes and 0 chances created. His teammate in Paris, Joao Neves, the baby face of the midfield 3 at Portugal at 21, had the best game of the entire team, scoring a header at 5'7" over the average 6-foot defence of the Congolese team. And going back to that play, I want people to pay attention to Ronaldo and the 22 Mbemba, because when the ball is played into Neto, the defender Mbemba sees Ronaldo in space and runs off to block the crossbar so Ronaldo can't get a free header on. Now in doing so, he leaves space behind him for a little Joao Neves to run in, and we can see in real time once the ball is played into Pedro Neto, the cross comes in, Joao Neves notices the gap and heads it to the left of the keeper, scoring. Without Cristiano Ronaldo creating that space out of thin air by pulling defenders towards him, that goal doesn't happen whatsoever. And the reason I'm highlighting Ronaldo's importance in that goal is because aside from the blatant, horrible, foolish takes that are going out online talking about Ronaldo being selfish for the team, the agenda that Ronaldo needs to step down and let someone else take his position as striker is utterly ridiculous. The only other options at centre forward for Portugal are Goncalo Ramos, who only played 1,300 minutes this season and does not look up to form, Goncalo Guedes, who did perform better than Ramos under more minutes, but that won't change the root issue of the problem. Have a look at this graph by Opta. This shows the amount of passes played in the game against Congo, and have a look specifically at the centre where the number 9 usually resides. I'm sorry, but changing the striker won't change the fact that there's not enough service being given up to the person up front. But there is one player I personally believe, if implemented into the squad in the right way, will be able to change the situation.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, I know what you're thinking. Joao Felix, how is he going to replace Ronaldo? But no, his job isn't to replace Ronaldo. The last time Portugal had competent attackers that could match Ronaldo was 2006, 20 years ago. And like it or not, every international tournament since then, Ronaldo has been relied upon as the main and primary, if not only, goal threat. And aside from the 2016 Euros, Portugal haven't won anything meaningful aside from the Nations League. A team with Ronaldo as the main goal threat that hasn't won the trophy they've been meaning to win for a while. That sounds familiar. But all jokes aside, let me land. Al Nassr signed Ronaldo in 2023 after the last World Cup, and since they signed Ronaldo, they haven't won the league just once. They haven't won the league just twice, but 3 full times before finally winning it this season. And the reason wasn't because of Ronaldo. His goal ratio every season he played for Al Nassr was actually very good. But they just couldn't push forward and win the league despite coming close many times. At least, that was the case until Joao Felix arrived. Being deployed as a second striker behind and next to Ronaldo during the entirety of the season, Joao Felix had his best season in terms of individual numbers with 20 goals and 13 assists. But aside from numbers, the role he played within the team actually freed up Ronaldo, because he would oftentimes pick up the ball from the midfield in the attacking position and drag it forward either to left or right, which allows space for the fullbacks and wingers to actually drive forward or even step back and cross into the box. Coupled with the fact that he can actually drive from the wing himself, implementing him into the Portugal team solves every problem that they had during the Congo game. A 5-3-2, removing Bernardo Silva and Pedro Neto from the equation, would be very efficient. Adding Ruben Dias into the mix after his return from injury, most of the attack will come directly from the middle of the pitch, but it can come from the wing-backs in Nuno Mendes and Cancelo as well. And the way I see it, the only thing stopping this from working is Roberto Martinez. The Portuguese gaffer's tactics were rendered useless by the Congo defence. After the Neves goal, it really felt like there was no sense of urgency at all within the Portuguese players to go and score another one, and then even when Congo scored, they didn't look desperate enough. This isn't my personal opinion, but Roberto Martinez is considered the manager that wasted Belgium's golden generation with Hazard, KDB, Lukaku, all in their primes. And I think this Portugal squad is definitely comparable in terms of talent all round. And I'm not a manager and my solution might not work, but Felix has experience playing in that false 9 role with Ronaldo at Al Nassr. He solves that issue of output from the number 9 position, but Roberto Martinez needs to tweak his tactics regardless. Portugal aren't going to be able to beat high tier opponents with the level that they played in during the Congo match. We'll see in the next couple of games if they can maximise Ronaldo's talents properly, because aside from Kane, Ronaldo is still the most clinical finisher in that tournament and a number 9 that is deserving to be starting on the international stage. The last thing I wanted to talk about was Ronaldo's impact on the Portugal national team, and more specifically online. Because with the amount of scrutinisation that Portugal had received after drawing their first game, you would think they're the only big nation to drop points. Because arguably a better team than Portugal, the FIFA number 2 Spain, drew to a much weaker team than Congo. And they didn't even score, but I'm not seeing fans saying Pedro needs to be taken off, he's not making chances for the striker. All in all, I know CR7 is a star and his name will always forever show up in the newspapers, but the negative outlook that they put on him and his team after one game of the World Cup is ridiculous. Argentina, they lost the first game of the 2022 World Cup and there was nowhere near this level of talk on their chances of going through to the next stage. I don't understand it. And at 41 years of age, you can't question Ronaldo's credentials, because that same Spain team that is considered one of the favourites for this tournament, he beat and scored in last year's Nation League final, and people will say it's a friendly, etc, etc. It's still a competitive game. You're acting like the Spain players would not try in that game. And it isn't just the media's perception of Ronaldo, it's the fans as well. What happened to the game I love? People saw Messi score a hat-trick before the Portugal game and their first thought was, oh my god, Ronaldo has a game today, he's gonna actually stink up the gaff and he's not gonna do well. Messi is an amazing player, the greatest of all time, yeah, I can agree with that, but why are you thinking about Ronaldo if that's your go? I prefer Ronaldo, and I was thinking, my god, Messi still got it. Why shouldn't you be thinking the same? But worse than the insecure Messi fans is the Ronaldo fans. Why are you and the other Portugal IG players comments talking about pass to Ronaldo, pass to Ronaldo? It's ridiculous. You single-handedly are ruining Ronaldo's chances of winning the World Cup. All in all, I think everyone is overreacting like crazy. Portugal drew their first game. So what? I still think they're favourites to go through to at minimum the semi-finals, if not winning it. And the only thing they really need to change is what I mentioned earlier, putting another attacker up front with Ronaldo to bear the brunt of the defence and open up for more goal scoring opportunities. But the biggest factor why I think Portugal will at least make it to the semi-finals is FIFA. Now, people will say that FIFA rigged the World Cup last time for Argentina. I do not agree or disagree with it. There was a couple weird scenarios, especially with the Netherlands game, where there's certain cards that shouldn't be given, but I think FIFA always prioritizes what makes the most money. And this will be a conspiracy theory, whatever, but if they really do want the most money made in this tournament, Portugal will definitely make it to the quarterfinals where they will meet Argentina, and I think more money will be made if Portugal make it to the finals compared to Argentina, because the Messi saga is already over. Well, what do I know? We'll see if Portugal can make it through. I think they will. One thing I want to mention before I sign off is that in 2022, Portugal had actually very underrated chance of going through and winning it all. But the fact that Ronaldo was in a bad headspace with losing his kid and the whole Ten Hag situation at Man United really affected his game. And the craziest thing about all of that is Portugal as a team were performing well. Even Ronaldo was playing well at the beginning of the first group stage game, but as soon as the media sniffed him having a bad performance, there were articles calling for his head, saying he shouldn't start, he's a net negative for the Portugal team. And I think it was really nasty media, considering the fact that he had just lost his kid. Like, do people not have hearts anymore? What the hell? But Ronaldo currently is in a much better headspace. He just won Saudi League after a couple of years of wanting it. Last year, he played in the Nations League against top teams and he scored 8 and 9, even scoring against Spain. He has no aspirations aside from 1,000 goals, but that'll come eventually, so there's no need to worry about it. I really think they'll go and win it this year, you know. Bit of a different video than the first one I made, but I hope you guys enjoyed it regardless. I know for a fact I'm going to be making a big World Cup video if Portugal somehow win it. The glaze will be there. If you enjoyed the vid, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you later.